warning. Your following movie rental may contain spoilers, subjects, opinions, and language not suitable for all audiences, and is intended for entertainment purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. Thank you for choosing us as your go-to for entertainment. And remember, be kind, rewind.
Good evening and welcome to Movie Rantels, the show where two unmitigated nerds gush over works of fiction. I am your host, Michael. Joining me is one of my good friends and sommelier of cinema, Eli.
Yes, thank you, Michael. It's a pleasure to be back once again. We just carry that for the entire hour. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh, shit. What's that? Oh, man. I had a movie in mind. I was going to make a funny transition, and then it just stopped.
Fuck. Oh, wow.
It was good. Anyways, who cares? No one cares.
It's fine.
Thank you all for stumbling on our little podcast here. Your viewership means a lot. Tonight, we rant about a real hidden gem, at least to me. Tokyo Godfathers, written by Satoshi Kon and also directed by him as well.
Yes. And for those of you out there, anime fans and just movie lovers, and in fact, if you're looking for an amazing new Christmas movie, this whatever holiday season you happen to be watching it, it's a great Christmas movie. It's like it's like it's the anime. It's almost like the anime of the fucking words. It is the planes, trains, and automobiles of anime in a weird way.
Sure, I can see that. Yeah.
It's got all the feels.
I have two holiday movies now.
Yes.
The first being Die Hard.
Yes.
The second being now Tokyo Godfathers.
Yes.
Now that I've seen it.
Yes. You want to synopsize this?
Synopsisize you?
Synopsisize. Yeah.
Synopsisize
This is
you, Captain. So Tokyo Godfathers essentially is three hobos and a baby.
Yeah, that's about it. That's
and
the
then they get into shenanigans. But what's great about this movie is I had a lot of, trepidation coming into this one. Just because I didn't know what to expect. Like, this is a serious piece of fiction, but it's also done by Studio Madhouse, which, like Vampire Hunter D and
Hellsing.
A bunch of these ridiculous, just like super over the top.
Hellsing, Death Note, yeah.
Yeah. So like super over the top, shonen, like popcorn fluff is what they're known for. And then this. And I got done watching this, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, Studio Madhouse. Oh, hell. All right.
And for those of you fans of anime and whatever, you'd be interested to know that in keeping with this director's oeuvre of his oeuvre of
bless you.
Thank you. His oeuvre of psychological thrillers and horror almost. He was the creator of Paranoia Agent. If you those of you who viewed late night Adult Swim in the early 2000s probably have seen it.
Yeah.
And also his rest other films include Perfect Blue, Millennium Actress.
I was gonna say Perfect Dark. What?
Paprika. Just. He seems,
and those now I need to see. As I am a Satoshi Kon virgin here, and I just got my cherry popped on this movie. And wow, what a ride! So three hobos and a baby. We got Geen, who is an old fuddy-duddy pissed away his life. Great sob story background, of course.
Which is totally
got-
lied to us the first half of the film.
Oh yeah. Yep. They play that up for the feels. But and then you have Hana, which is the best character
Seriously, the best character.
in my ever. Like, I don't care what you're talking about. It's this character, Hana.
Yeah. She everything from the heart. She's the heart, the hero. She's just this. Yes, Hana. Hana is my spirit animal. Hana
Yeah.
is my fucking spirit animal. Like,
So you got a transvestite whose opening line is how it would be a miracle if God gave her a baby. To which Geen is like, yeah, too bad you got balls.
oh god.
Oh my god, it's so good. Geen and Hana are great because they're like an old married couple.
They really are.
And then they have their adopted daughter, Miyuki, who is a foster child who's run away from their latest foster home. She was really interesting at the beginning. I thought she was going to be a little, like, I don't know. I thought she was going to be one of those annoying characters that was just like, fuck things up for the sake of fucking things up. But no, oh my god. I again, here's me giving Satoshi Kon no credit on how to write characters, because my god. These three are adorable together. Every interaction in this movie with them is amazing. And you're pretty much just following the three of them the entire time.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've got Geen, who's the drunk, but like when he get drunk, he just tells the truth, you know. Like, and then Hana, she's just looking for a place to, or not Hana, Miyuki's just looking for a place to like exist and be appreciated. And there's a lot of teenage angst in the way of that emotion, but it's well written, like seriously well written.
And Hana
So anyways,
is just this ball of joy and hope and just and angst in her own way, or and just I could gush about this character for the rest of fucking time for reasons. But
she's definitely the emotional center of the whole escapade, you know. Like, she had the emotional journey here. You had Geen, who's going through like dealing with his past. Like, and the whole movie is about them dealing with a portion of their past. And like coming to terms with where they are now and how they got there.
It's kind of beautiful how the baby that they find, which is the conflict of this whole thing, of when they find the baby in the dumpster. It's beautiful of what that baby represents to all of them in terms of like what their baggage is or what their past is. For Hana, the baby is two different things. It's at first she voices it as it was her dream to be a mother, to be a maternal figure, but it's also her facing, like, she sees the baby as herself, because she confesses like she never had a mother, that like she never knew her mother, she never knew her parents really, and that like she basically grew up alone, and she's like, she doesn't want this child to lead the same life that she led, through that very horrible, cruel twist of fate. For Gin, it's like it's his daughter. It's reminding
it's like
him
remembering
how,
remembering his own family. And
for Miyuki,
that's the big.
Sorry, you're going.
Oh, continue. For Miyuki.
I was just saying, and for Miyuki, it's basically her cat. Like, Miyuki is a bit of a contentious character for me, which I might rant about a little later. But But yeah,
No, I get you. Like, it's really easy when I was writing my thoughts down for this movie. Geen and Hana, I was able to, just kind of flow on, like, these are who they are. These are these people. This is kind of where they represent in the story. I was like, okay, Geen has, he's, not only is he the father figure in this whole thing, he's kind of the voice of reason. You know what I mean? Like, he's the level-headed one. He might be a bit down on himself, but he's got good advice. Whenever he opens his mouth, listen, kind of thing. He's like, I've been where you've been. Mm-hmm. I've lived a life.
Yeah, he's the rock.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's the rock or the anchor for the rest of the others.
And then Miyuki is very flighty. She doesn't have a solid foundation of a character. And I think that chalks up mainly to her age, right? Like,
oh, yeah.
She's what, 15, 16?
Yeah.
If?
16 or, I think. Somewhere around there.
So, really, what kind of a personality do you think a 16-year-old has, really? They have there, and that's where that kind of starts forming. And she's been passed through foster family after foster family. So she's never had any real core to coalesce around. It's always chaos with her because that's really all she's ever known.
Where did that see? I've only watched this thing twice in the past however long. I didn't get Miyuki being a foster kid. I don't know, maybe I just didn't hear that part. Like I remember
okay,
I remember there was like a side remark she made about where it pertained to Hana and the baby, or when Hana's talking about the baby and she has like a couple of those weird side comments. Like, if that's what you're referring to.
I think that's where I'm basing this off from. Now, I've only seen this movie once. Mm-hmm. And I wrote up my piece on it
based on that one viewing
yesterday, and that was a couple days after I saw it.
Right.
So this might just be things I'm picking up from the character. Mm-hmm. Now, that could be absolutely false.
Right.
But I feel like that's what makes the most sense for Miyuki as a character.
No, see, I see. The thing is that I hope your interpretation is correct. I don't think your interpretation is technically, but I wish it was, because that would have been a much better character than what I got, because
I might have just entirely just blanked out Miyuki's character and put in something I thought was better.
Yeah,
that really could have.
That's totally fair, and I totally I guess we're gonna get into fucking Miyuki already.
Yeah,
because her entire goddamn, her whole to compare here just a little bit. So the circumstances that led these three characters to being homeless is kind of like the emotional backbone of their characters, and Miyuki is the one that stands out as a kind of what the fuck, honestly. So Hana's thing is like, so Hana has talked about she grew up at least without a mother, maybe possibly without both parents, an orphan, passed from foster home to foster home and grew up, that way. Clearly, probably, definitely an entertainer in terms of like drag queening, at least, or just club dancing, club singing, if not sex worker. I'm pretty sure it's probably not sex worker, considering how religious she is and how...
well, maybe that's why she's so religious now.
Right? And like how wholesome she really tries to be.
Well, is, really.
Yeah. And it like... And so... But she had she got a life. She got with a guy that apparently treated her really well, and it was, her whole life was working great for her. And then he fucking died of a freak accident of slipping in the soap in the
Slipping
shower.
in the shower or something.
Yeah, he slipped in the shower and died. And because of like some scene she made at her old club with her friends who could have helped her, the shame she felt, she just wouldn't face them again. So she like forced herself to basically, like be on the streets, which, yeah. And I think we could totally, sympathize and empathize with that. Gin's whole, Gin was not but still really heartfelt. Like he fell into a gambling addiction. He fell into a gambling addiction and lost connection with his wife and his daughter, and lost his entire livelihood and everything. And ran away from the, for the shame, and which I feel is also like kind of a cultural thing. In Japan, there's a lot of like social pressures and everything when it comes to money and success and finances and.
And then you just piss away your entire life savings on bicycle racing.
Yeah.
Betting on bicycle racing.
Betting on bicycle racing.
Oh, shit. What do you do? Like, I couldn't face my family again, and I was too much of a pussy to kill myself. Yeah. So, and then you're like, well, okay, but you could have like all these characters, like at any point they could have just dealt with things, but I feel like they never had an emotional crux to do that. You know what I mean? Like they were, at least in Gein's position, he just felt too sorry for himself.
Yeah,
and he was just like, I'm just an old drunk. Fuck it, who cares?
Yeah,
no one cares about me.
Yeah, they just seem to not have like the emotional support, or not the But Miyuki, on the other fucking hand, her entire thing is that she stabbed her father in a rage because basically because she lost her cat. Because her cat fucking ran away, and apparently, like, maybe there was a little bit of neglect there, maybe their parents weren't listening to her, disregarding her because, she's a teenager, and, what she cares about can only mean so much. And, like, but she fucking stabbed her father and ran away over a goddamn cat. Every time that scene goes by, and every time I watch it, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You stuck it out on your own, living in the freezing cold for 6 fucking months, and are so torn up to not go home because you stabbed your father over a fucking cat. Like, okay, I understand the shame because you stabbed your father over a fucking cat. I'll never be able to not say it or see it in that very particular sentence. Stabbed your father over a fucking cat. Stabbed your father over a fucking cat. Forever it will be that. And I'm just like...
See, my interpretation is that she was a foster child, and she just has never had any real stability in her life. The cat meant something to her. Mm-hmm. She had an emotional flip out, which, teenager can happen, hormones. And then, again, the shame of like, wow, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah. Because,
I can't face my family again.
Well, yeah, because also...
And we have no idea if he's a good father or not. We get a sign that he probably is later on in the movie. Mm-hmm. When they're hunting down the kids' real parents because Hana convinces everyone that's a great idea.
Yeah. Or that's the only path that she will accept being the case. Is more...
Eli, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, can you hear me? Oh, no.
And my internet died. Well, shit. Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back.
Technical difficulties aside, where were we?
Stabbed your father over a fucking cat.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Stabbed your father over a cat. And I was just gonna say, like, okay, so if your interpretation of the orphan thing was correct, then that would make a whole lot more sense. Especially because like when kids going through foster homes, like that's just abandonment issues for days. You know, that's just
Right.
that's just constant
Right.
abandonment issues for days. And of course, you know, you'd be afraid of like of immediately getting abandoned for, you know, for well, stabbing your father, adopted or otherwise, over a
Right.
cat, like, and running away. Like, but yeah, it's just my thing. Yeah, it's like, okay, this is why I like your version a lot better. I would absolutely sympathize with Miyuki if that was indeed the case.
If that was the case.
If that was the case. But from...
I definitely get that vibe. And that's where I jumped off and ran with it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's just a spaz kid
Yeah. Being a spaz
who
kid.
was like, fuck it. I'll live on the streets. I'll be my own woman. And then you fall into these other two wackadoodles and then have wacky adventures. Yeah. So, as far as Miyuki goes, I think she has an interesting arc through it. And with hers, it's more or less she just has to realize that she matters, and people like the others have to realize this too. But I think with her, it's more fundamental.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of beautiful how they're constantly like, again, the baby just magically makes them all examine things about their life in kind of in this beautiful tandem and relation where, because when you look at it, it's between Hana, Gin, and Miyuki. They're very much a family unit. You know, Hana is the mother, Gin is the father, and Miyuki is the kid. And there's just that moment where Miyuki kind of like storms off to secretly go call her father, although she didn't tell them that. But I think Hana caught it. And Gin was literally just got done making a point about you know, a father never forgets his kid, referring to the baby's father, even if he's a gambling piece of shit. And then he's like, well, what's up with her? And then Hana says, well, it's obvious, kid never forgets her father either, you know. And it's just like,
and that's a great little moment too.
There's so many good moments.
And after that, when she goes to actually call her father, and he picks up and he's like, "Oh my God, is it you, Miyuki?
Are you okay?"
And she breaks down. Yeah, I mean that moment got me. I'm like, "Oh God,
here
come the tears."
Yep, the feels.
Oh jeez.
Oh jeez.
But yeah,
talk about.
And the movie kind of kept you guessing, like, what the fuck's going on? Like, everything was very dynamic. You never felt like, yes, this is where we're going, you know. So, as the movie progresses and we go on the little adventures, we eventually find this, like, Yakuza guy. I don't know if he's Yakuza, but the fat dude who got caught under the car. Like, okay, fantastic, just little comedy scene. And then it's serendipitous that that guy owns the club that the baby's mother used to work at, or something like that.
Yeah, and not only that, but his the kid, the guy that's getting married to his daughter is not only, I think, one of the guys that runs the club was given the information, but he's also the guy who got Gin into gambling in the first place on the bike race over a get rich quick scheme. And like that was like the first hint you get of the reveal that comes later, where, you know, first of all, he lies to Hana pretty much about his entire backstory. That, you know, it said, starting with that his kid and his wife were dead. and that he threw a bike race or something, but it's actually that he got into gambling because he had a friend who had like these get rich quick schemes, basically probably twisted his arm into betting again and again and again and feeding into his addiction. So he goes off and tries to punch him. And then while he's about to do that, out of nowhere, freaking another guy posing as one of the waitresses pulls out a gun and tries to assassinate the guy that they saved from the car. And the guy from Gin's past jumps in front of his father-in-law and takes the bullets. Like,
Yep.
Holy shit. Like,
Yep.
This movie is a fucking masterclass on the some of the fundamentals of storytelling between subverting expectations and plant and payoff. Not a freaking moment is wasted in this movie.
Dude, the moment I knew that this movie was going to be fantastic was, remember at the beginning, right after the nativity scene, where we get the foreshadowing miracle baby.
Yep.
That is Jesus.
Jesus.
In line, Hana is, of course, ranting about how she wants a baby and it'd be a miracle if she got a baby. And one of the volunteers who's doling out the food is just looking at her like, whatever, you crazy fucking broad. Like, fucking wacko drag queen talking about how he wants a baby. Like, that's fucking weird. And then later, they're in the subway, and that same volunteer walks by, sees Hana with the baby, and he's just like, holy shit, miracles do happen. Like,
I didn't even
just this little...
I didn't even catch that was who that was who said that. I was like, why is that person saying that? Like, oh, the miracles do happen. I was like, oh shit, that's where they were from.
I laughed my ass off. I was like, oh my god, it's so good. Like, just this little thing that they paid off, and I'm like, okay, they're gonna. This is gonna be good.
This is gonna be good. Everything, every little planning and payoff.
Oh, for sure. One of the good ones. Well, I'm not sure if this counts as a good one, but you get this, this whole. Where am I trying to go with this? So you get these little planted seeds of what these characters want the world to see as their sob stories. Like, the world did this to me. But in the end, each of them, it's represented, or it's brought out that, they kind of chose this kind of life. And I'm not sure if that's Satoshi Kon's, like, outlook on all homeless people, is that they're there because they feel sorry for themselves, or if he's just making a story that happened to have homeless people in it.
I think it's more of like his. I find that it's his outlook and commentary on not necessarily homeless people, but just people being people. Like, if you look at his filmography and like just his oeuvre. If you look at his oeuvre, like, he's very much a firm believer in that, like, that we are the creators of our own torture devices, so to speak. Like, he does it in such a like both a painful and a really emotional sort of way. Yeah, I feel like that's just his outlook on people, not necessarily homeless people in particular. And also, yeah, it's kind of beautiful in terms when it comes to like symbols and just the ironic symmetry, of everything that ends up happening to these characters. Like, Gin's whole thing being about, like, if you like look at the symmetry between the lie that he tells and the truth that his story actually is, how so close they are to when it, like,
right,
where it's like, I was a pro cyclist who threw a bet or threw a race for money. In reality, he ran a bike shop and bet on bike racing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
his crowning moment, like the big chase scene at the end, near the end of the movie, is him on a bike.
Yeah, on a bike.
Is him
of course.
literally driving it as fast as a fucking car. Like, it's beautiful. Again, beautiful symmetry.
Yep. Yep.
And like, you know, freaking Miyuki's whole thing about, you know, going hard to, like, you know, basically going hardcore over a cat. I suppose that, you know, a cat named Angel, and in this one moment she sees the baby as an angel with the wings, and she's ultimately the person who saves the baby's life in the end. And and then of course Hana, who, you know, has the baby, the one that believes in miracles, is literally saved
by a fucking miracle. Yeah. Bullshit gust of wind comes and saves their fucking lives.
Yeah, literally, she literally took a leap of faith. She literally took a leap of faith and fully put her heart and soul and trust into that baby that it would save her, and it fucking did. Like, it's such a, you know, feel good movie, despite the fucking dark places it goes, and it goes dark. Holy shit!
It doesn't. That's what I fucking loved about this. The writing is it was not afraid to look at family from every fucking angle. Like, so what ends up being, I guess, the antagonist, the late appearing antagonist is the mother. They find the baby's mother, but it's not her real mother.
Yeah.
Her mother is grieving, or, you know, that woman is grieving over the loss of her own child, and through this baby feels like she can get her family back. Like, she blames herself for her shitty husband being a shitty person because she couldn't give him a child. Ugh. And she feels like she couldn't give life to a child, so she was useless as a woman. And, like, oh my God, what the fuck? Like,
yeah,
that is not where I thought this was going. But when you have, like, okay, so that's how you write an antagonist. I mean, like, what would, like, looking into the face of that woman was heart-wrenching. And,
oh, God.
And the dub is so good. We watched the dub.
Yeah, we watched the dub. I am, full confession, I have watched both the sub and the dub. I mean, I kind of just like dubs better in general, and I'm a serious minority on that. But when they do dubs right, God damn it, they do it right. And
oh man,
this one did it really perfect. Well.
This was really perfect.
There is one, like, significant, not significant, but, like, there's one big difference that I might point out in a second. But to stay on topic, and I don't remember the woman's name, the antagonist woman. I don't remember her name.
Neither do I.
But there's this moment, and to me, like, this is really kind of like a moment that just screams Satoshi Kon to me. Again, when I look at, like, his first movie, like, his a lot of people consider his magnum opus is not Tokyo Godfathers, but Perfect Blue. And Perfect Blue is a psychological thriller. It's a psychological thriller with a shit ton of just, he, like, uses animation in the most twisted sort of way. Like, I could have totally seen that if he was alive today, he probably would have done great work on, like, a Silent Hill video game or something. Like, he's
nice.
Really good. But there was this moment that was straight out of a horror movie. There was something he does with the face of this woman looking down at the baby that was both, it was so many things in one. It was heart-wrenching and sad, but it was also disturbing and scary.
Oh,
yeah. Which she's trying to force the baby to drink from her
Yeah.
breast, and she looks down at her like just asking her like, baby needs her milk. Just like the look on her face, it's just something about the way they animated it. It was both, I wanted to cry and I was also like, ugh, get the fuck away from me. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And at the end too, when she's like at the top of the building looking to jump off. My God.
what a roller coaster.
Not only was that a well executed scene, a well animated scene, but like just through her face and the way she was moving, it was just so good, so like hurt animal. You know what I mean? Like, those like sad YouTube videos of like a gorilla with their dead baby, and like,
Yep.
my God, it's like, oh right, that's us. And like it just really, it was so good. And the very end, when the baby is returned to the proper parents, they go to these hobos who are all in a hospital room recovering from the shenanigans. And they were like, oh no, like these people are homeless. And she's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to name them my daughter's Godfathers. And it's like, yeah, okay, that's where the name comes from. All right, that's awesome.
And then and of course that last beautiful moment. They
yep.
open the door, and the policeman introducing them just happens to be Miyuki's father. Just like,
Yep.
what a moment to end on. Oh, and did you notice? Serendipitous. That literally is like the alternate title of this movie, Serendipitous, because, dear God, like the biggest theme I feel like in this movie is coincidence, or like
Miracles, man.
Miracles, like just fate, like absolute stroke of fate. There was this other moment, like, I feel like there's also like there's the tiniest inklings of a theme of doing good that comes back to you, and it,
good karma. Yeah,
good karma. And it really hit me for Gin in this one particular, in the middle of the movie, in the dead middle of the movie. He finds an old man, an old hobo, in the middle of the street, and he basically takes him and gets him relatively warm, or just just kind of sets up a little shelter for him. And his last wish basically is to he knows he's gonna die, but he basically wants to die drunk. He's like, I always thought I would die drunk and warm, but you're getting me halfway there, and I really appreciate it.
Yep.
So, and he's just sitting there sharing a drink with him. Now, of course, this moment is really like hitting hard because basically this is Gin looking into his future self. This is
this is like ghost of the future.
Yeah,
coming
like
to haunt him.
After all that dialogue of him being trash, of like him seeing himself as garbage, and the old man literally echoes the same platitude, even though Gin never said it in front of him, and he even tells the old man, you shouldn't talk like that. And he's like, you remind me of myself when I was that age, And so when he gives him this little bag that says, please, take it. I don't want them to find me with it. And you don't see what's in that little bag, right? At the very end, when they're in the hospital, Miyuki gets the cigarettes for Gin, that little bag falls out and it opens up. And inside are lottery tickets. And the winning lottery ticket of 11111. The winning lottery ticket of ones. And it was like, shit. Like, oh my God. Like, good karma, man. So apparently Gin won the lottery. Like good karma for helping the old man. More good karma also that he basically ended up saving Hana with that money he was saving for his own daughter, and got to meet his own daughter in the process. Yeah, totally. And like, and got treated by got treated by the man that she's marrying too.
Yeah. Older doctor's like, but he's like old. And she's like, yeah, but like,
And
what of it?
he has
And he's like,
he has
nothing. I got nothing to.
and he has the sob story that Gin tried to pass to Hana as his own.
Yep.
Where
Yep.
his wife and daughter died of disease. It's like, dude, it's like Karma being awesome, but also Karma being just sassy
Just
as
a-
fuck.
Sassy ass bitch. Yeah. Oh, dude, for sure. And like you get he reveals like, oh, excuse me, halfway through the movie that like that money is for his daughter, and you're like, okay, and like that money is what pays for the hospital visit that he meets. Like, oh my god, it's like again little moments of payoff, like setups and payoffs, and we were talking in the very first episode of Movie Rantels in Knives Out how there's all these little setups and payoffs that another big production just missed, didn't have the time for. And they're important. And it really helps a story stay cohesive.
Yeah.
And feel like more than just a record of events.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get done with a movie and you're like, okay, cool. I can tell you exactly what happened. I just don't care. Like
as an aspiring writer or an up and coming writer myself, I ended up taking David Mamet's masterclass. And one big lesson he teaches about storytelling, or one of the many, many things he covers about storytelling, one of them is that a story is like a field trip that you take from point A to point B. But it's not a field trip. It's essentially a trip towards a goal. And the things that happen along that trip are not the sights you see. They're not the people you talk to. They're not like the little side things. They are the obstacles that get in the way. And suffice to say that if a moment happens in the story that without it you would get to the same destination, if there exists any moments that will get you to the same destination without it, you drop it, you throw it away. There's not none of those moments.
It doesn't do anything.
Right. None of those moments in this movie. It feels like all those moments need to be there. Like there's no wasted. There's no side viewing in this. There's no sightseeing or not necessarily. There's no fat. There's no fat. Even the stuff you think is fat and the stuff that may appear to be fat on the surface, it has a way of coming back around, or has a way of bringing it back into the story. Like it's so good.
Yeah, and it's definitely something good writers implement, but it's also something I've seen from some of those old school animation greats. Because most of them started with manga, right? And you need to be resourceful to get your entire story across in the 24 panels that they're going to give you. Especially, and I give shonen a lot of shit because it's usually just popcorn fluff. But you get shows like My Hero Academia, which in the first couple of seasons really pushed the whole emotional core of these characters before the kick-ass action.
Yeah.
Because of course there's kick-ass action, but the reason why you're showing up every day to watch this show is because of the characters.
Yeah. It's about what the characters want, and you want that for the characters. So like, yeah, if it doesn't matter what stakes you have, if the stakes don't mean anything to the characters, then no one's going to care. It's right. But if the characters care about it, then you'll care about it. kind of thing. It's great how the transitive property works. So this is one little other kind of weird abstract thing I actually want to touch upon in this movie in particular when it comes to Hana. And it has to do with one, I think it goes back to one particular scene. So having watched this twice, there's something I notice about Hana as a character, or just in the way that she's animated. She has the most over-the-top expressions and, like, you know how, like, with squashing and stretching and animation, there's kind of like a when you're trying to make a semi-realistic world, but to what degree proportion has to like stay at a certain laws of physics. Hana is the one character that's on the brink of breaking it. Like Hana is like the faces that she makes and some of the ways in which she moves, like it's kind of weird how they play with it's weird how they're playing. My first glance was that they were playing with the shapes of her face in how dancing the line, I guess, between masculine and feminine, but upon second viewing, especially take into consideration the story that she tells Miyuki just before they find antagonist, not the mom. The demon story. The demon story. And I'm like, that's like if there's ever one scene in this entire movie that was just kind of a big question mark to me, it was that scene, because I don't think that it's kind of like how with Miyuki's thing with the cat, I felt like the demon story didn't really fit, at least in terms of it didn't.
I think it's a cultural thing, right? Like it's a folklore or a a story that we just don't have access to, like a parable.
Yeah.
Like, if they mentioned, like, in a Western thing, like Hansel and Gretel, you're like, yeah, uh-huh.
Right.
That there, I feel like, was a cultural, like, miss for us.
Yeah. But it's, and yeah. But even trying to, like, compare, like, the moral of the story, which is, like, there's two demons, and the one demon is a demon, and he's hated by everybody. The second demon comes around and basically creates a situation where the first demon can be loved by everybody else, but it has to exclude the second demon. And I was like, that's a little bit of a weird way to cast yourself in that whole thing, in that comparison. But I was wondering if it was, I don't know. I might have to come. I might have to come back to that one, like, in the future. I might make a video on that or something, because that one has that one was just packed with, like,
yeah. Like, where are we going?
But it's also like, when you look at it, it's like Hana is the person. It really does seem like Hana has those kind of facial proportions or whatever that make her all that more magical or fantastical, like a demon. And I say demon, because I'm trying to think about the
spirit.
actual spirit, because the Japanese word that is actually used, it might have been Shin. I'm trying to remember from the sub, because the way the story of the sub tells it, like, I don't remember if it was. It had to have been Sheen. It had to be.
What I got from that too is that she is a performer, right? And so I get those Japanese plays. I don't want to butcher. I don't remember the name. I'm a terrible person. But like
we are uncultured swine. We are uncultured.
We are
swine.
uncultured Westerners. Yeah. And they have the masks that they wear, and traditionally all female characters were portrayed by men anyways.
Oh, are you thinking of Bunraku?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. And so you get that kind of feel from her, and that story feels like one of those old plays. And I feel like there's just like this, like a reinforcement of the character here. It was being used through that kind of storytelling, but again, I don't know enough about it to say anything
Right.
definitive about that whole situation. But yeah, it definitely felt like it kind of came up and delayed the action a little bit. And you're like, okay, we got to go, but we got to listen to your little story here first. Okay.
Yeah. I do have to also comment about the scene that follows, just the absolute kind of the perfect scene that basically tells you to always pay attention is when they're walking across the bridge with the baby, and Hana's waxing poetic about how she should just throw herself off the bridge as they're walking by the woman.
Yeah, and this woman is getting up onto the bridge to throw herself off. Like, oh shit, no.
Like, it was beautiful, that moment where they stopped and they just realized what they walked past, and they just fucking bolt back and grab her. I was like, that the first time I watched that just got a huge laugh out of me. I was just like, oh shit.
Yep. And I felt I got more and more attached to Miyuki's character the farther they got into the movie.
Yeah.
Her facial expressions and her animation, I don't know, got more and more like, I don't know, like it felt like the character stopped being so blobby, and because at the beginning she feels kind of blobby, just kind of like, and then she gets more definition as she goes through the stories and these events. It's like
the fiery little rebel.
Yeah, through the animation even, we're getting like, oh, this character's actually being more defined.
Yeah.
And like when she's running up the flights of stairs and she's
shedding her clothes,
shedding her hobo clothes, so she can move faster, because that's not who she is. Mm-hmm. She's not a hobo. And like,
holy shit!
And it also
I didn't
probably
even...
shows.
Yeah. Wow.
And it also goes to show that she's lost so much weight too, because she was like, you feel like she was like this spoiled brat of a kid, and now she's more of a woman.
Right. Got some
still 16, still a kid, but like did a little bit of growing up,
Yeah. Got some experience and perspective under her belt now.
Yeah, namely perspective. Yeah. It's like, now here's how things actually are, kid, and you're like, oh.
But yeah, alternatively, like to absolutely kind of flip, pivot a little bit on my whole feeling towards Miyuki after my lovely little rant, like, stabbed your fucking father over a cat, my thing was actually like, because when you think about the homeless people, and the reason why a lot of people end up homeless, a big one of them has to do with mental health and mental stability. And it really, like, you could make the argument that if that's what they were going for Miyuki, that very much, I think, hits home in that regard, because there are some people that do have those moments and are ashamed to confront the fact that they did those things, instead of being able to actually face it head on and go through what it takes to fix the problems, because it's not easy, and the hardest part about it is admitting you have a problem. Like, after, like, if you go to the extreme of stabbing someone over losing a pet, it's like girl needs medication, or girl needs counseling.
Yeah.
Like
Counseling at the very least, if this lash of violence was what it took for her parents to notice too, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And so I mean, this story has so many good layers to it. You could just yammer on about it forever, but unfortunately we're coming up to time.
Yeah.
We thank you, everyone, for joining us. And if you haven't seen Tokyo Godfathers, do.
Yes.
Absolutely do.
Yes. It's
available.
on
Amazon. It's available.
It's available. And it is dubbed in English. For those of you who care. I'm sure that there's the sub is probably available there too, but I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Thank you all for listening.
Yes.
Thank you all for showing up. So if you liked it, hit that like button. If you think we suck, thumbs down. You know what to do.
Leave us a lovely comment. Even the ones that tell us that we're uncultured swine and we suck. We love that. We love that too. We
don't know unless we know.
We are whores for attention.
Any attention, really.
Any attention.
Oh, and with that, good night.
Good night, and we will see you next time.